The following program is sponsored by NARI of Central Ohio. NARI is the local chapter of the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, a not-for-profit trade group dedicated to setting the highest standards for home remodeling. NARI members stay up to date through professional certifications, continuing education, and adhere to a strict code of ethics. If you're looking for certified, reliable remodeling pros who are committed to doing your job right, check out the NARI membership directory or see their award gallery today. Start your remodeling journey at trustnari.org. Remodeling is more than just nails and drywall. It's passion, grit, and more than a little bit of humor. Welcome to the Remodelers Roundtable, where we talk shop, share stories, and get to know the people shaping the industry, one renovation at a time. Hi, and welcome to the Remodelers Roundtable. I am TV's Ben Niedenthal, and with me today is Brett Bender and Mason Sherman from CJE Restoration in Columbus, Ohio. They focus on restoring buildings, older buildings, working on roofs, things like that. Tell me more about your business. How did you guys get started?
It's kind of a long story. I went to school for engineering. My internship and my first job out of college was actually museum design. So I worked on the College Football Hall of Fame, World Fishing Center, North Carolina Museum of Natural History, Oklahoma Museum of Natural History. Kind of just always liked being creative, designing, but always really loved architecture and really just enjoyed working on older homes as well. So when I first moved to Columbus, I did a lot of historic restoration projects in German Village, Old Town East, Vic Village, Italian Village, and then the historic restoration just kind of built into general construction as far as commercial build-outs, exteriors on residential houses. And then as we grew, it became into multifamily shopping centers. And now we're doing even larger scale commercial projects as well. So
that's awesome. So you started off in like museum design and kind of setting up exhibits and that kind of thing, and then got into restoration. How much of museum design informs what you do in restoration?
Not a lot, actually.
Okay, well,
but
that's good.
Aside from it being very interesting, very creative, and you always have to problem solve. So museum exhibitry was really cool because there was a lot of design aspects, and it depended on what kind of projects we were working on, whether it was historic projects. Some of them were dinosaur exhibits. Some of them were natural history exhibits. The College Football Hall of Fame, I worked on like the kick, pass, run interactive stuff, the theater experience, the fiber optic lighting for the busts in the main exhibitory areas. So that was just a lot of problem solving, figuring stuff out, engineering. But when you're working on a home, like not every house is built the same. In general, there's good practices and general practices, but you always running into something that you have to problem solve for. So that's kind of what we're really known for at CJE Restoration, is being able to problem solve. And we're really known for working on difficult, interesting projects. So if there's a project going in town and they don't know how to figure it out, or they need something creative figured out, they give us a call because we're generally the ones that can figure it out. Or we use a lot of specialty products. One of which is Kemper. It's a product out of Germany that they actually flew us out there to do training. But it's a waterproofing that lasts 50 to 60 years. So we're using it on. We did a rooftop pool downtown, and we used it for waterproofing underneath that. It's the only roofing product that's approved for Frank Lloyd Wright projects. So we're getting ready to do one of those in Springfield, which is really cool. Kind of feeds into like our historic side that we have too. Yeah, that's really cool project. So, like I said, it's just we're the ones that they call in when somebody can't figure it out, or if they have a product that nobody's used before or wants to know how to use. We're kind of the go-to in the industry in Columbus.
Engineers, man. Yeah. You love interesting problems. I caught that out of the gate. So you said restorations and stuff like that. So you've worked on historical buildings. I'm assuming kind of the more historical districts in Central Ohio and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of work in German Village. We actually do lunch and learns at the community center in German Village to bring people up to speed on the current trends in historic restoration. We've been working with some synthetic products that have just got recently approved in German Village. So there's a lot of slate roofs down there. They're really cost prohibitive to replace. Obviously, we try to restore them and keep them in as good a shape as we possibly can, but there's a point where you just can't do it anymore. It has to be replaced. So we're able to come in with a synthetic product that's been approved. We've done a couple of test houses down there. It's called EcoStar. So it's a recycled material. So it's a green material, and it lasts almost as long as Slate does, but it's about half the price. But we have a wood shop, so we recreate a lot of the old wood trims down there.
Oh, I was going to say that's got to be, because those are almost like custom individual like art pieces in and of themselves, the trim, right?
Yeah, that it is very true. So like a lot of the houses, the interior and the exterior trim was custom back in the day. It was, the woodworkers that did it, kind of put their stamp of artistry on it. So you can't just go to Lowe's or Home Depot and pick these trims up. So we actually have to recreate them in our wood shop, or we have a partner that we can, if it's even more complicated than we can deal with, to bring them in. And there's just been a really big push in Columbus, and we're really proud to be a part of it, that we're restoring these houses to their former glory. There's a lot of artistry. There's a lot of history that goes into it. And so to tear them apart and put vinyl back in or put some composite material back in just isn't doing the house justice or the neighborhood justice. So we kind of laugh that materials aren't made how they used to be. So, the products that you're picking up nowadays, they're good for 10, 20, 30 years. But the products that we're putting in these houses, a lot of them are 100 plus years old. And if they're treated well and maintained, they can last, a significant amount of time. So it's just really interesting to learn about the history and the artistry and the craftsmanship that goes into it, because it's kind of becoming a lost art.
Is there anything in the historical world that you see that like you're amazed holds up every single time? Like, I don't know, like floors or individual joists. I don't know, anything like that.
The slate roofs are amazing. Some of the slate that's up there is, 130 years old, and it's still in really good shape, and it's lasting that long. Whereas, we're putting asphalt shingles on, and they say they're 50 years, but I think the national average is about 18 for them. And then there's just a huge difference between the lumber that we're using today.
Yeah.
The lumber that was used back then is what they call old growth wood. So those trees had time to mature. They have a lot of growth rings in them because they were mature trees when they were harvested. A lot of the woods that we're using now are, quickly grown cypress and pine. They grow them as quickly as possible to get them onto market, and they're just not as dense. They're not as strong. They don't hold up as well to moisture or, the test of time, I guess. So it's really just cool to see those woods.
Now, do you see actual 2x4s?
Yes, they're actually 2 inches by 4 inches. They're not the nominal 1.5 by 3.5.
That's a hard lesson. I think anybody who's starting into woodworking learns at least once. Wait a minute, it says 2x4, but that's not 2x4.
Exactly, it's definitely different.
Yeah.
But
you
then
just assume something.
The plaster and lath that are in the houses is just completely different than the drywall. You'll find horsehair that they still had used to keep the matrix together in them. So it's really interesting. You'll find newspapers and old bottles in the wall that people kind of hid for a treasure for us to find later. So it's always kind of cool it's almost like a time capsule when you open stuff up. Sometimes it's really interesting.
That's super cool. So you guys are involved in NARI as well, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So, and Brett, you're secretary with NARI, right?
Yes.
All right. Now, first question. I love to put a lot of puns into these chats. How is your dad joke game?
Decent.
Okay. You got any that you can fire off?
Not off the top of my head, no.
That's like the worst thing in the world. Tell me a joke. Be funny. Go.
It's like I got a whole list of them, and just as soon as you get asked to tell one, it's like, drawing a blank.
Yeah, I know. No, exactly. My go-to is how do you catch a unique rabbit? Unique up on it. How do you catch a tame rabbit? Tame way. Unique up on it. So and that's about the reaction I get out of it every single time. It's good stuff. So, Brett, being secretary means you get to write a lot of stuff down. Is that?
Yeah, I take all the notes during the board meetings.
Do you actually?
I do.
Do you actually write it down and everything?
Yeah. Well, on the laptop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice. Have you considered using AI for any of that?
I did use it for one meeting, and it was too difficult to put it back together.
Gotcha.
It was very interesting.
It's a lot of people in that room, and it's a lot to keep track of.
It was a free app too, so
that'll do.
I bet you if I got a paid app, it probably was a little bit better. But the free one I used was not very good. But it's just as easy, just sitting there listening to everything and typing it out.
Yeah.
Is not terrible.
Now, were you a good note taker when you were in high school and everything?
Mostly when I was paying attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I suffered from the second problem a lot. I did not suffer from the note taking problem. I didn't take any. I just tried to commit it all to memory. didn't do very well with it.
Same. I also try to commit it all to memory, but when I'm actually paying attention and actually want to take notes, I do take.
Notes. If I'm interested, actually, if I write it down, it commits it to memory pretty much automatically for me. So I think there's some word for that. Joe, what's that word? Joe will look it up. He won't, but
I know what you're talking about, but
I can't remember the word. Joe, I just woke Joe up. Sorry, Joe. So you've been with NARI for a long time though, too, right?
About 2020.
2020. It's a good haul at this point. So in that amount of time, like, what has it felt like, especially since 2020? What has the growth been like in NARI?
I feel like the growth's been pretty good. Every year there's new members coming in. And we actually were just talking about this on the way up here. It's a different organization than other ones that you see in Columbus. The first meeting that I came to, one of the previous presidents came over and was like, "Hey, you're new. I've never seen you before. What do you do? Who are you with?" And it's been like that almost every meeting since. Like, you're constantly meeting new people and seeing people you haven't seen before, saying, "Hey, who are you? What do you do? Like, how can we help you?"
Yeah.
It's a very open organization and friendly, helpful.
Yeah.
I feel it's been,
Yeah, it feels disingenuous to call it like a networking organization. I mean, I guess on paper that's technically what it is, but like, it's not like, here's my business card and then walk to the next person, here's my business card. It is genuinely a group of people that they all seem to do similar things and know similar things and help each other and work with each other and everything. So
it's a community.
It really is. And they all know each other really well and goof on each other and have fun with each other and love working with each other. It's great. That's awesome. Very nice. So let's talk about some cleanup that you guys do. Have you ever found any grim surprises or anything like that?
Just dead animals, pretty much.
I mean, that's pretty grim.
I had one customer call me, and it was just an odd. We had a previous kind of relationship. We had done some work for them in the past, and they called us and they were like, "There's this awful smell in our house and we cannot find where it was." So I went and I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's so bad." And it was like, I've localized it to a bedroom, went upstairs. Their house was very complicated. It had a lot of different facets to the roof. So I was crawling around in the attic and they had 2 layers of insulation, and I was literally just picking up pieces of insulation, trying to just do the smell test.
Yeah.
And finally was able to find a squirrel that had died up there in the attic. Cleaned it up for him and got him out, which is not our typical.
I was going to say that is
not our typical job, but it was. But it was a good past customer that we had done work for. So sometimes you do it to help them out. And
you put that in your skills category in your resume, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Please don't tell your neighbors.
Don't tell your neighbors to do that.
We're
not going to market with that.
It's on a podcast now, so that's good. So. Oh man. So like, do you have any stories of like something starting off like, oh my God, how are we going to fix this, to like complete success?
I think most of the projects are like that, honestly. At least in historical restoration, it's always interesting.
Yeah.
Like the way that things were put together, they're not always put together the way they are now. So it's always just being creative and figuring out how to do it. But yeah, we've run into some situations where people had walls collapsing, or
oh my God.
We're working on an apartment complex right now where the actual foundation's sinking, so we're having to go in and brace everything up. And it's like, when you get out there, you're just like, oh my goodness, this is going to be such an overwhelming task. But it's just doing your due diligence up front. We work with a lot of engineers and architects. We try to get them involved in those situations so that we're not making the call on what needs to be done. Like, we actually have an engineer that comes out and does it and kind of gives us a game plan and sets forth, the process that they would like us to follow. And I think those relationships with, our subcontractors, ourselves, and, our trade partners, and also the owners of the complex, and we all work together as a team to get the project done. And, it's always fun and interesting to see how it turns out. And it's something that you can be proud of, that, we figured this, improbable situation out and we're able to get it fixed, and everybody's safe, and now they can move back into their apartment and feel like they can live there again and feel comfortable and safe to be there. So
so you talked earlier about the green building trend, and so how are you adapting to all of that? What are some materials you've been picking up, or some techniques?
There's a couple different products. Like the synthetic products that are coming out are generally a lot of recycled materials. We're moving towards that. The lumber that we're using, we try to use sustainable products. LP is one of them. It's a product that is a polymer mixed with like a composite wood or chipped wood. And they actually put insect-resistant chemicals and metals in it so that it's rot-resistant, it's chemical-resistant, but it's also a sustainable product because the trees that are being cut down are immediately planted and are regrowing at the same time. So it's another one. There's been a lot of recycling that's kind of been going on in building materials instead of just throwing in the landfill. There's
upcycling or just recycling.
Like asphalt shingles can be recycled back into asphalt, paving products. Vinyl siding can be melted back down and reused for certain different things as well. So that's kind of the trend it's been moving in. But it's just, we're always trying to figure out ways that we can stay ahead of the trend, with green products. We're always learning and exploring new products that are coming out and seeing if it's going to be a good fit for us or our customers.
Yeah.
And then we're able to present some of these to the historic boards, and we're like, hey, these are products that are sustainable. They're good quality products, and they can be substituted for for some of the historical stuff. So there's another product called Boral that's out. It's actually made out of fly ash. And it's completely water resistant. You can submerge it in water and it won't rot. Wow. And it actually looks and cuts almost like real wood. So and it probably will last 100 years as well. So
do you get any pushback for any of that stuff?
Sometimes, anytime you come out with a new product or you talk about a new product, people are like, oh, well, what's the testing? How long has it been around? We want to feel it, touch it, see it, cut it, see it installed. But I think, once you present it and we screen them really well ahead of time. Obviously, we're not taking every product because, we've worked with enough stuff where we know what's good and what's not good and what's going to last. So I think once they can actually see it and, get the information about it and you can educate them on it, then they're usually pretty receptive.
That's cool. It's nice to see people it's kind of two birds, one stone, right? Because you're helping somebody improve their home, bring it up to code, bringing everything up to snuff, give it longevity, but also it's eco-friendly, green, and the whole thing. So that's fantastic. Brett, as far as what's coming up for NARI, we've got the tour of remodeled homes coming up. That's end of July, right?
June or July. Yes.
June or July. I might be in the wrong month at this point, but yes. So you went to the one last year, obviously.
I did not.
Oh, you did not?
No.
Okay.
I was busy that week.
Okay.
I can't exactly remember what I was doing. I think we were moving. We actually just bought a 100-year-old house.
Oh, wow.
So, me and the wife are kind of running into all the same,
same things
at work. Yeah.
Surprises behind the walls and everything.
We found a really, just this last week, we found a note that a kid had hid in a beam up above one of the bedrooms.
Huh.
A note talking about who they liked in school and whatnot. But it's cool. This note is just, completely deteriorated, and it was a really cool find,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So I think I was doing that last year at the same time.
Okay. All right. Well, I know that we've got a lot of good houses going into it this year. I'm very excited about this one. But I will get those dates assembled, and there's going to be notifications on trustnari.org as to when that's going to be. So be sure to check that one out as well. Brett, what's you've seen over the past 5 years NARI grow? What are some notable milestones that you've seen?
Man.
I was thinking something like maybe Build My Future
I think Build My Future has to be the biggest one. We were just talking about that on the way up here. Really seeing how that came from just a thought all the way to where it was an actual event, and then the follow-up afterwards with all the kids and the schools, and how everybody said it was such a good event it was.
Yeah.
That's a really cool milestone, I think, for NARI Central Ohio. And I think this year's going to be even better.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a really, really fun event. Yeah,
it was a really cool event. It just kind of it's exactly why NARI is there, in my opinion. It's exactly why, there's so many people in NARI, great organizations that are, a lot of them are kind of aging out and that sort of thing. And there's another generation that needs to come in and take it over. Yep. And it was so satisfying to see teenagers. There was one kid I saw who was putting bricks. He was mortaring bricks, and he was he looked at the guy who was with me. He's like, "This is the most relaxing thing I've ever done in my entire life." And it was like, "You just found your career, my dude, right there." And that's fantastic. That's exactly the kind of stuff you want to get into it for.
I mean, it just showed the kids that there's another avenue other than just college. You can work with your hands. If you don't want to work with your hands, you can be a project manager. There's so many different things to do rather than just go to college and, go into finance or.
Yeah. And we were talking about this before we rolled, but there's a lot of things that they don't teach in school anymore that, would be very helpful, especially for kids who are trying to think about going into the trades or anything else, basic financial literacy, stuff like that. And shop class in general. So helping find these kids who knows what else they're going to do, and teach them, you can build really beautiful things or rebuild beautiful things and build a career out of it. That's pretty amazing stuff. So that's coming up again in October this year.
Yeah, October 1st.
Yeah, so, and that's going to be the big thing at the
Franklin County
Franklin
Fairgrounds.
County Fairgrounds. Yeah. Super cool. Let's see. Mason, CJ's reputation for quality shows up as an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. That is quite an achievement. What's the secret to keeping that stuff so solid?
I think it's just our team and our culture within our business. When we set out and started this company, there's always this stigma, about contractors and specifically restoration contractors. So we've seen it over and over again. Being in the industry, we see it every day. So when we started in this company, we said we want to do it different and we want to do it better. So, the customer is always going to be first. The project that we're working on is always going to go first. So, even if we're not making money on the project or even if we're losing money on the project, we're going to stay there. We're going to fix it. We're going to make sure that the customer's happy and that the project's done correctly. So that's kind of, we always stand behind our word and the quality of our work. So that's pretty much it, I guess. But yeah, we have a great team, and everybody that works for us, that we've brought on has that same mindset, and that's, we recruit to that mindset. So
how big is the team?
We have 17 full-time employees, and then we have subcontractors that we bring in. We probably have several hundred subcontractors.
Yeah. Now, is everybody on the same project at the same time, or is it a bunch of different projects cooking all at the same time?
No, we're all over the place. We have a residential division. We have a historic restoration division. We have a multifamily division. We have a commercial division. And then we're doing fire restoration for some customers as well. So we're actually licensed in New York as well. So we just got done doing municipal housing there. We just did a job in Peoria, Illinois. We've got a stadium that we're working on in northern Kentucky. It's a Catholic school. We're using that Kemper product to waterproof and traffic code underneath the bleachers and that. It's really interesting. But yeah, we're kind of all over the place. We have teams in Cleveland right now doing a shopping center. We've got multifamily new construction going on in Cincinnati.
So if it's a structure and it needs to be updated, you guys are the people to call. And that's sounds like almost nationwide too, right?
Yeah, we have a job coming up in North Carolina. We have one in Virginia. But it's mostly people that we've worked with here that are hey, we have this building in Virginia or in North Carolina, and we've had people come out and to look at it, but we're getting such crazy opinions on whether it can be fixed or replaced, and the numbers all over the place, and we really like working with you, and we go in objectively, and we're always hey, if it can be repaired first, we're always going to say, hey, it can be repaired first before, hey, let's just tear it down and start over. Yeah. Obviously you make a lot more money by doing that, but we've built that reputation of being honest and being upfront with our customers. So when they have a building out of town, they're hey, can you fly down there and take a look at it and tell us what really needs to happen? So just being able to build that trust and that relationship with them has, led to more work and, out of state work. So
yeah. How many years in total for CJE?
We've been in business 6 years.
6 years.
One of our companies that we merged with is now 15 years old.
Okay.
So we merged about 6 years ago.
I love when people ask, how old is the company? It's well, it depends on how you count that.
Yeah, it depends on how you count it. So
what
pretty
birthday do you want to use?
Yeah, 15. But once the merger happened and CJE really formed, it's been about 6 years.
Gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. What a cool amount of growth and everything in the first 6 years, and hopefully many, many more to come and everything. So, how do people follow you guys on social medias?
We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And then we've been playing with the idea of doing a YouTube channel just because we have our lives are always really exciting, and we're on all these different projects, and we're always into something new. We do a lot of philanthropy and charity work as well. We do a lot of event work. So we've kind of been playing with the YouTube channel idea just because it's not just the same rinse and repeat kind of thing in what we do every day with the construction projects that we're doing. So we think people would be a really
good way to kind of showcase what you guys do too, because it's always kind of a different thing. And I think that'd be a terrific way to you guys.
So we've been working on that. So we're just got to figure out how to get it off the ground.
You guys are always working on something. Yeah, there's always something in the
pipeline. There's something in the pipeline.
Ideas that are in the pipeline.
Yeah. So I'm kind of
God
the
forbid
idea
there's
guy.
not,
Yeah, exactly. That's true too. That's true
you want
too.
those ideas in the pipeline. Yeah. So, and Brett, are you on social media as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, social media. Follow everything on CJE.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, your wife is as well. She's doing the social media for NARI and everything. So
she does,
which is awesome. But awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming out. This is awesome. What a great chat. Really appreciate your time, and thank you all for tuning in to the Remodelers Roundtable, a NARI podcast. I'm TV's Ben Niedenthal, and we will see you next time.
Boxland Media, think big.